Are we really willing to say God created a world in which he knew evil and suffering would exist, and yet he did so only with the vague purpose of bringing some kind of general good out of some of that evil? I believe when God created the very fabric of time, the very fabric of space, he did so in accordance with his own wise counsel so as to bring about the glorification of the divine Trinity. It was God's intention to express his power, to express his holiness, his justice, his love, his mercy, and his grace, all exactly as he chose. And this he is doing, though we will not see the glory of the final consummation of all things until eternity itself. But do not miss the real issue here. If we deny the decree of God, we must confess that while God promises to bring good out of some evil, the fact is God created a world in which there is a tremendous amount of purposeless evil, out of which good is never brought. What is more, God cannot bring specific good to pass out of evil because he's dependent upon the actions of evil creatures to provide the basis of his own responses. This leads to insuperable difficulties in how Michael or anyone else can actually ground true interaction of an eternal being with time-bound creatures without falling into either open theism or some form of Molinism. The open theist solves this by saying God does not know the actions of time-bound creatures, of free moral creatures. He knows what's going to happen in the natural world, but he doesn't know what free moral creatures are going to do, and that's why the future is open. The Molinist says, well, God has this special middle knowledge of what any creature will do in any given situation, even before he decrees to create them, which led William Lane Craig to say, well, God's got to deal with the cards he's been dealt, to which I go, I want to know the God who dealt him the cards. So we got two gods out there somehow, and yet he then examines all these possible worlds and comes up with a possibility based upon that and actuates that universe. Now, Michael, as far as I know, is not embracing either one of those. He's saying, yes, God knows all things certainly in the future, but there is no divine decree that fixed the shape of that future. And so God will accomplish his ultimate goal, but the path to getting there was not fixed by his decree. It was not fixed by his intention when he created this world. That fundamentally is the difference between us. Yes, we differ on issues relating to atonement and things like that we've debated in the past, but to me, the issue this evening for every one of us, but for Michael and I especially, and hopefully bring you along for the conversation, what about these texts that say God accomplishes all his desire? Is God trying to save every single person equally? Many people would say, well, of course. And if you believe that, I simply have to ask the question, then why are you praying about somebody? You expect 105% effort? You see, I pray because I'm changed by the prayer. I want to be used by God as the instrument, the means to bring the gospel to that person. But I'm not trying to convince God to be better than he is. Is there such a thing as purposeless evil?